Bro, Rob, I have to disagree with you that. Then I kind of okay. So this is where we get into the racism argument, and this is why I feel like my racism is justified. So right now at this point, Rob, and you talk about being pragmatic and populist. Right now, this is just the truth. Republicans have done more to destroy my life than Democrats have.
That's it. Look, who can blame?
That's,
here's
that's 100% anecdotal, but that's just my reality.
No, but that's life.
No.
That's politics.
It's nature.
You know what I mean?
So now am I not allowed to criticize my own? Am I not allowed to criticize the very same Republicans that said they're going to represent me in Congress, yet they're going to go out there and do this unconstitutional ban on hemp because of what? Because big alcohol, which actually kills more Americans. This is what I'm saying. This is why the lines don't exist anymore. We have
it's very difficult, and you have to understand people are voting. Look, a lot of people vote for bad reasons, what I think are bad reasons, but people have their own reasons, and you can't say that people can't look at their, like, let's just say hypothetically that I support everything that Republicans of the Trump administration are doing, but I have a little niche job like you do. Like, let's say my job has to do with, like, I don't know, like lumber, right? And Trump does everything right in Republicans, but for some reason they're like, well, we're going to have this policy that devastates the lumber industry.
Yeah.
Now, let's say culturally and foreign policy-wise, I agree with all the things that the Republicans are doing. Do I vote for them knowing that it's going to destroy my livelihood? And you might say, all of you out there might say, yes, but Rob, objectively, here's why that policy makes sense on the lumber thing. Even if that's true, so what? My family suffers. Even if it benefits every other family in the country, do I vote for the suffering of my own family? It's difficult questions. And, you know, and that's, if once you say, okay, Rob, I see your point there. Okay, then don't you see the point of the welfare recipient? That's like, why? Even if I think you're right that too many people abuse the system, I need it. My family needs it. And so I'm never going to vote for the person that takes that away. It's difficult. And it's like, how do we get, you know, for me, that's why I favor smaller government, less regulations, less picking of winners and losers. That's good, you know, because ultimately it leads more of us stand on our own. But once you start to grow the size of government and make people dependent on the government or allow the government to pick winners or losers, then people are going to vote based on what benefits them individually. And that's why they say you can vote your way into socialism, but you have to shoot your way out because no one's going to vote to remove their benefits or their money or their welfare. And so I actually give Trump credit for the private sector job growths and trying to fire people. But let's be honest.
You're saying private sector growth at the hands of the federal government. What are you referring to?
So, like, when you look at the jobs created under the Biden administration, huge portions of them, these were basically what huge sectors were. One, foreign-born people were getting jobs, so not American citizens. And second, they were government jobs. Most of the jobs created were government jobs, right? Under Trump, we've actually seen government jobs decrease, but the growth we've seen in jobs have been almost all from the private sector and almost
decrease in growth or decrease from pre-established figures?
Decrease from pre-established figures, at least in some months. Now, I don't know the totality, but for example, let's say that you'll see like 117,000 jobs created in March.
You said in some months, though, but then there also wasn't.
Well, I don't know. I don't know the totality. What I am saying is
I don't know either. That's why I'm asking. But your answers are kind of like, wait.
I could look up the numbers.
I believe it. I do believe it. I believe
what I'm saying, though, is
Democrats are going to empower. They're going to
empower. Growth is in the private sector. The growth's in the private sector, and it's with American-born people, which is what I want. I don't give a shit if our economy is growing and it's benefiting people that were born in India that are coming over here on temporary visas.
You're putting Americans back to work.
And that's the other thing. Like the last thing I'll say on this is this whole mantra of like free markets. Then the next thing that comes with that's like GDP. GDP is the end all be all. And I think that you see someone like Vivek Ramaswamy, the pushback against him was this, right? Vivek, he puts out this like post on X last Christmas. And it's, I'm not going to be super charitable to it. So everybody go out and find the post for yourself. But basically he's like this, right? He's like, listen, like the problem with America right now is that we're not encouraging winners. Too many people watch Saved by the Bell and identify.
Oh yeah. I saw that. Yeah. The bootstraps.
Yes. Right. Now
they're the problem, American.
Regardless of what Vance was trying to, or I'm sorry, what Vivek was trying to say, the impression that was given there was basically this. America's this big machine, and all we're interested in is getting the best cogs in that machine. And the output of that machine is GDP. So if John Burk works at this job, but we could remove John Burk and bring in this person from China and put in there, and that leads to more GDP. Sorry, John, you're out. And the problem with that is I just don't give a shit. I don't care if, quote, the country gets richer if the country isn't the people of this country. If the GDP of the United States goes up because we import 1 million people from India that massively disagree with my culture, and my family suffers as a result, why do I give a shit? Yeah, at least the GDP's up. I don't give a shit. And that's the problem. We have to say, what is America? What does this mean? Is America literally just the GDP? Is it literally just the borders? Or is it it's also the people?
I think that's why you probably see such a tremendous rise in American nationalism to the degree that you've seen now, because I think people are finally coming to terms with what is American culture. What is it that we were actually defending if we were a nation of immigrants? And it's a very philosophical, it's the soul of the country right now, quite honestly. I think a lot of people don't want to have those kinds of conversations because it's going to basically make them have to understand and recognize that if other people are looking out for them and theirs and you're not doing the same, you're going to get screwed. You're just going to get screwed. It's the same principle argument as far as if we have 3 superpowers in the world, you've got Russia, China, and America, and there's probably it's 3, right? Russia, China, America?
Pretty much. I don't know.
3,
yeah. I mean,
okay, so let's just say
European Union is a, but yeah.
Well, I'm not counting.
Right.
But I'm just saying though, in terms of like, so if America, and this is my isolationist friends, they don't have I don't want to just say like they don't have maybe they don't understand, but maybe they don't realize like the geopolitical position of America is that if you have 3 superpowers and you decide to kind of take a step back, these 2 will expand. Like you don't have any other alternative. It's just how it is. This is how mankind has been throughout, even the Native Americans. If you had one tribe show weakness, you had the Beaver Wars and stuff, like they would consume tribes for more resource gain, territory, recruitment to grow. This is the nature of mankind. So if we have not changed and history repeats itself and mankind doesn't change from its direction, how it, we're all the same from now until whenever, or prior to whenever, then if America reduces its footprint internationally, then do we want to see China and Russia expand? Well, the answer to that should be absolutely not. So then what is the positioning of America on the international scale? And then you have to bring back in these conversations about Middle Eastern allies, such as Israel, such potentially an alliance with Iran, places like that, because he who controls the energy, realistically speaking, is going to control the world, quite honestly.
Yeah.
We can talk manufacturing, but it's the same position we have with China. They do have us on manufacturing. We've got them on food. They squeeze us on manufacturing, and we squeeze them on food.
So, like, I agree. The foreign policy aspect of it's very interesting. But as a domestic and, like, as sort of an immigration policy, I'm a nerd. I used to watch all these shows like Question Time in Canada where the prime minister would answer questions. There used to be these shows in the United Kingdom I would watch a lot where they would, like, have politicians on and audience and talk. And one of the questions, I mean, this was like 2017, 2018 I was watching. They would ask this question: what does it mean to be British? What is it? What's being British mean? Is it people that have an ancestry of being British people? Of course not, right? The Jamaican that immigrated to Britain 10 years ago, that's a British person, a person with dreadlocks, right? What is it?
Yeah.
What is and the United States has the same problem. What unifies us? I'm fully willing to accept.
What is American culture?
Right. We're not going to be a culture, or we're not going to be a country of a particular ethnicity. Got it. I accept that. No problem. Japan, what makes you Japanese?
Well, I mean, I kind of wish, Rob, I have to disagree with you then. So this is where we get into the racism argument. And this is why I feel like my racism is justified. And I don't mean in a sense of like, I want to discriminate, even though I do believe it's a business's right to discriminate openly. That's a free and fair market. But and this is the argument that I have to acknowledge, is that if we look at what white Europeans predominantly have contributed to Western civilization, the expansionism thereof, if there was to be a dominant race to run things in America, which race would you want it to be and why?
My race, baby.
We're pretty good at what we do, Rob. We're pretty good at what we do.
For both subjective and objective reasons. But what I'm saying is, the writing's on the wall. We're never going to.
There's different ways you can go down that argument, though, because then we can start talking about if we want national identity, I would rather live under a white Christian because I do feel like we do things better. And the case in point on that is look at the Middle East. Look at Africa. If these are race-bound Then no, maybe the Asians, because they do have the whole respect thing going. But then the whole communism, I don't know.
But my point is like, I'm willing to accept that there will be Americans that aren't white. There'll be Americans that are Hispanic. Americans that are black. I can accept that. I'm not calling for a white nationalist country. What I'm saying, though, is that's different than like a country like Japan, where it's like, what is Japanese? Ethnicity, they're Japanese. So then it's like, okay, well, we need something to unify us. So what can unify people? A religion? We could be a Christian country, or if that's not
I wish we were a Christian nation. But then again, but there is that.
These are things that hypothetically could unify. You could have a country surrounded by principles, right? That unifies, like the principles of the Bill of Rights or the principles of the Constitution, whatever it may be. But the key is
what we were supposedly built on, but we're not that. We're not
right. So the key is there has to be
because if something like that can't unify us, that benefits everybody, dude, what will? Outside of
that's just it. Like, so it's like, okay, but there has to be some sort of unification. It can't just be, it can't be that this country is made up of people that believe X and the opposite of X, and there's no unification. You can't exist as a country in perpetuity with that.
That's what it feels like these days.
That's exactly what it feels like. So, for example, it'd be like, well, the First Amendment, free speech. Really? Is everyone unify around that? I mean, the Biden administration was completely gung-ho on like a disinformation council that said we should censor certain people. Now you're seeing people on the right.
Social media to censor people like us, 100%. I mean, we were the victims of that too. And
is it the Second Amendment?
Bro, Rob, remember, we have to go both sides on this one, though, because Democrats did it, Republicans knew it and didn't do anything about it.
Oh, I totally agree.
They knew and did nothing about it.
Listen, there's been Republicans that have pushed like anti-Semitism, hate speech laws and shit like that. I'm not a fan of that. The point I'm trying to make, though, is I don't know what unifies us anymore as a country. And it's starting to become, the fractures are starting to become so stark.
And I'm not calling for a theocracy, by the way. I saw something no theocracy. No, I agree, because the worst case you get is Iran. You're going to get an Islamic, you're going to get whatever. The same premise is why America was established from the hands of Henry, going after the Lutherans and stuff like that. Yeah, I understand what theocracies will eventually turn into. Absolutely. But I'm saying, though, if we had to lean on certain fundamental beliefs as a nation that would bind us, as Rob is saying, then I would rather it be Christian fundamentalist values, because also those are the values that are actually shared more widely by most religions. If you look, Islam, we have very similar beliefs in terms of like homosexuality, man is the head of the house, blah, 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 blah. So it's more generically acceptable, I guess you could say. But I do get the counterpoint to that is that, yes, you get extremist theology or you get extremist theocracy, clearly not a good. So I think what like with Rob and me, or at least what I'm coming to the agreement or the getting a grip of is what is the perfect system? And there is no perfect. What is the most less corrupt, pragmatic, American beneficial system that we could implement policy-wise for Americans? And I don't have an answer to that either, because honestly, those are the questions that are being asked. We're being forced into a different aspect of cultural irrelevancy that really doesn't matter. But the problem is it does now. Like Rob said, you can't criticize your own. The trans thing blew up. The left never criticized that, and that's why they lost 2024, because it got so insane that even the black intersectional woman like Kamala couldn't bring the left to unify because they thought they were so bad. Fiscally so horrible under Biden. It was so bad, they stayed home for Kamala. They were just like, we're going to let Trump win. They stayed home.
Totally agree.
It was that bad.
So it's like, so we have these problems. We just say, we'll bring in people from India. Now they're American. Are they?
Yeah.
Right. And then we, and then when it gets right down to it, not only are our sort of principles no longer unifying, but then we can't even agree on reality. Like there are people like biology. How about this? We all saw all the footage of the shooting of Renee Good. I see that footage and I'm like, clear-cut case of officer justified in the shooting. Clear cut. Couldn't be more clear cut. And yet half of this country sees that. Like, this guy's a murderer. Yeah, I know. But so it's like, what do we do? How do we, if we don't have unifying principles, if we don't have a unifying religion, if we don't have a unifying ethnicity, if we don't have a unifying value on the foundational documents of the country, and if we can't even agree on reality when we're watching the same thing, what happens? What do we do as a country? How do we come together?
This is why culture is so important, and why culture should stay where it is culturally norm. Meaning, I don't want Somali culture over here. I don't want other cultures over here anymore. Stay where you're at, because that culture is there for a reason. You don't want to outbreed that culture, meaning you're going to have traditionalism go away. Imagine if, for example, and it's possible that British no longer exists. It's been bred out. There is no longer a British line. It is now, America's going the same way. Britain's just getting there a lot faster, though, which is just funny to me. Islam is taking over. You see it everywhere, all over the place. But now, where is British culture? Because British culture is a thing. It was a thing. Where's British culture? So one culture absorbs the other. That's why I am for segregation. Keep the culture separate. It's what it's what keeps them alive. But instead, you're going to get the inbreeding. Britain's gone. Britain is, and they're never going to go opposite. They're never going to go opposite.
What's it matter if the world if each country's just geographic regions and the cultures
100%.
within and the values within all become homogenous? By the way, isn't this completely antithetical to diversity, which they claim is the 100%. Mantra? Right?
Multiculturalism is an absolute lie, and it destroys cultures. Now, there is an idea of America because America is multicultural, meaning we are the melting pot, but there is there is American culture to a degree. It's just hard to nail down because it comes from so many contributing factors. But ultimately, let's just talk food real quick. Anybody that disagrees with this, let me just say this. I've been around this world, man. Rob follows me. I travel, or I used to because the economy was good. But I love South America. Got to go visit Peru, many different countries, experience the food. I love going to Argentina and training there. There's a lot of places I love visiting, and the food is exquisite. But the American variations of these foods are just so much better, so much more unhealthier. But American food is this conglomeration of all this other stuff that we just deep fry, turn it as unhealthy as possible, and we make it so much better. It's true. We have the best steaks. We have the best burgers. I've been around the world, dude. Everyone mirrors Western food because we have it the best. Now, that being said, what else is American? That's a very good question as far as football, baseball. These are things that, are specific to America, or at least our variation of football. So, and that's based on each person's independent thing. So I get what you're saying in Tarek's about homogenism just destroys it completely. And you get this new perverted variation that's not even culturally norm. It's not even rooted in traditionalism. It's a new contemporary version of whatever. It's a perversion. It's I don't agree with it.
Totally agree.